Hello, thanks for joining us. I'm Kayla Henry,
I'm Kathy Zalewski.
and we are realtors over at Realty One Group Peak in Bozeman, Montana. So this is part of our seller series. We're doing kind of a Q&A format. And this time we're going to talk about when sellers ask us, when is the best time to sell in Montana? And so I would say most people assume that the spring is the best time. I'd say typically that's when people think the real estate market starts to heat up, and they're not wrong on that. We do see typically more listings come onto the market during the spring, but I do think for our Montana market specifically, it's very weather dependent. So sometimes in May or even March, again, all of those April, we can have beautiful sunshine.
Feet of snow.
Or feet of snow, yeah, a ton of snow. And I do think that really drives how much people are looking. And it's a really hard thing to time because it can be weeks to months of variation of when you're going to see nice weather or snowstorms.
But when you're thinking like, oh, it'll be so great, we'll list in May and all our trees will be blooming and whatever, the reality is that is not super likely.
Yeah.
It still might look pretty bare out there.
Bare, and there's nothing worse than the dirty snow piles and threadbare trees. It's just a hard time. I either like to really try and time photos to have somewhat nice landscaping or snow, because snow is also very pretty.
Right. So I think while in the spring there's more buyer activity, the seriousness of those buyers can be varied. They might just be out open housing because it's a nice day outside and they have no intent to buy a home. You will have definitely more buyers, but there's also more homes on the market.
You'll have more competition. So if you're bringing your home on, there again, that week, that month, there could be 4 other homes that you're competing with, or 10 other homes you're competing with.
In your neighborhood.
Yeah. And I mean, I would say the Bozeman market, all things considered, it is still a relatively small market, so competition's low, but it still is competition. And so I think, again, being really competitive with pricing and really making sure you're presenting a nice product, all of those things really matter, especially when your competition is higher, which you'll typically see in the spring.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so kind of moving into summer, I guess, there's, I would say benefits and challenges with listing in the summertime.
Right. I think most people, again, kind of following that spring being a lot of activity, there are some interesting things to note about summer activity in Bozeman. So while we are very busy, and if you look up stats for the Bozeman Yellowstone Airport, it is really busy in the summertime. I will tell you that it is not those people that are coming and looking at houses, generally speaking.
Not often. They're here to visit Yellowstone or, visit Bozeman, because I do think we're a tourist destination.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if you yourself want to put your home on the market in the summer because you're going to be going on vacation for a month or a couple weeks and you just won't be bothered by buyer activity and showings and that kind of thing, if that's easiest for you, that could be a real benefit, certainly, to putting your home on the market during the summer.
Because you might have plans to already be out of town and your home can be just left with your realtor.
Right.
Which is easy.
We can do that open house bonanza.
Yeah, that Kathy's famous for.
Woo, yeah.
I think another benefit to listing in the summertime is, of course, landscaping looks really nice. You'll see trees popping, the grass is green, and all of those exterior photos. Sometimes you might get a little bit of snow on the Bridger Stowe with a really nice blue sky day. The photos just tend to look really, really special.
Well, and there's just more light. Days are very, very long here in the summer in Montana, really long. It's light till like 10 p.m. So if your home is dark, that might be a really great time because it will seem a lot lighter. There aren't very many people on the planet that don't like a bright home.
Yeah.
So that there are definite benefits to having your home on the market in the summer.
Yeah, and I think another thing, it's easier to move in the summertime because the weather's nice. You don't have to deal with snowstorms or, ice and everything while you're trying to drive a moving truck or anything like that. I do think sometimes those small things are important to consider. And while there still is competition, right, I think you will still see a good number of homes on the market. Sometimes it tends to be a more steady market versus that spring flurry that we often see.
Right.
I do think it's important to note, I feel like in July, Kathy, I don't know if you've noticed this, I feel like there's often a slump because it's almost just too nice out. People are looking at real estate, or they're not looking at real estate. They're doing fun things.
Yeah. And I mean, it's everybody goes on vacation. I mean, even whether even us as local Bosemanites, we might head up to Glacier for a week or go, you
Over
know,
to Flathead Lake. And,
yeah,
just go camping.
or go back home to wherever home is. But it July is busy for people personally, and it rarely has to do with them buying a home.
Yeah. So I do feel like we see a slump in July.
In terms of activity, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that people are pulling their homes off the market.
No.
Or necessarily a drove of people are adding their homes to the market during July. July is just kind of stagnant. It just status quo.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to put it. So moving into kind of the fall market, we tend to see, I feel like Bozeman, with MSU, Montana State University here, that to me is really our fall market driver. We'll have parents bringing their freshmen or dropping kids back off at school. And I would say it's very not uncommon, at least, for the students to come to Bozeman and then their parents visit a little bit more and stay and realize how much they like it. And oftentimes kids will stay even after finishing school at MSU, and that will lead to parents potentially buying homes.
I think, you know, the parents bring their freshmen and they, you know, they want their kids to be in the dorms the first year. I think it's actually a requirement.
I think it's a requirement.
Students, but they come here and they start saying, okay, well, maybe it would be smart for us to buy a home for our child to live in and have roommates while they go to school here. That, you know, real estate is a good investment. And so, you know, maybe that's a smart thing to do here in this market, and that makes sense. But then, like Kaila said, eventually, you know, the kid gets to be a junior or a senior and they realize their kids are going to stay here indefinitely. And they now have been here several times and think, oh yeah, Bozeman's a pretty cool
place to live.
So now the parents are looking for their maybe vacation home or retirement home, or, you know, another property. And so we do see a lot of that in the fall.
Very much so. I do think, again, MSU drives a lot of Bozeman's economy in many ways, and certainly real estate is no exception to that.
It would be silly for us not to mention it as a driver of real estate here. And I think, honestly, in the fall we feel it a lot. But even sometimes in the spring, when people come back for graduation, they might be looking as well in those circumstances.
Very much. Yeah. And I do think something to note on this as well, a lot of people are looking for condos or homes for their kids that are close to MSU. And my response is so many, if not almost all the places in Bozeman are very close to MSU still. My joke that I always say is in Bozeman, you know, everything's about 12 minutes away. I almost don't care where you're at. 12 to 15 minutes, no matter where you're at, even if it feels like you're way far out west or to the south, you know, south side. Getting to, you know, Main Street, MSU.
The only time that it's not 12 minutes is during like high summer. When there's a ton of tourists. Then it might take you a little bit longer to actually get to downtown.
Maybe it'll take you 17 minutes. Right. But 10 to find parking.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, everything is mostly very close still. It can seem, maybe on a map, it looks like it's a long ways away, but plug that address into Google Maps, do the route, or again, talk to your realtor. A lot of things are still really, really close. And there's a great bus schedule as well. And Bozeman is making a lot of efforts to have more bike lanes and bike routes for people to get there. So I think, you know, in most places you're going to feel pretty good about where you might land as a college kid.
Yep.
Another, I guess, benefit to listing in the fall colors are gorgeous around here.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
We certainly see that can still play a nice role in listing photos.
And the weather usually is really good through the fall. And by fall, maybe let's just call it late October.
Yeah.
By late October, it is likely that we are starting to see snow.
Potentially.
So it is, but if you get your photos done when the foliage is great, you're going to get a lot of activity, online activity, and of course everybody starts their home search online. So fall's not a bad time to list either in Bozeman.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the other nice thing I would say is, you know, people that are visiting in the fall tend to be a little less busy than the main summer push. They have, you know, maybe they're visiting with just a smaller set of friends and family, or just don't have maybe quite a jam-packed schedule because they're not trying to visit so many places. So they maybe have a little bit more time to actually truly consider real estate, which I do think as a seller is more meaningful for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving on, of course, is the winter season the best time to list? I think the general feeling nationwide would be that no, it's not. And I would beg to differ. I think that winter season is not a horrible time to list. usually the buyers that are looking for homes in November, December are very serious. There's something that's motivating them to buy now, whether that's a job change or, they want to get their kids in school for the next semester or something like that. But usually, in my experience, buyers that are looking for homes in November and December are quite serious.
Yeah. I think another important thing is, our 1031 market. I do think Bozeman still sees quite a few investors that are purchasing here. I think last I checked, it was around 30% were cash or 1031 buyers. And so 1031, it's a tax deferred exchange, meaning that you can sell a piece of investment property, and then without paying capital gains taxes, you roll whatever your proceeds were into a new investment in real estate. Just has to be of like kind. We can do a whole nother video on 1031 details, so I'm going to keep it really short there.
Yeah.
But the point is, a 1031 buyer has a specific timeline they have to perform on.
Yep.
And so what's nice about that is if your home's on the market and it's one of the two that will maybe work for this 1031 buyer, it's a good chance you'll see an offer because they really want to make that happen. And they're also less particular buyers, because again, it's an investment, it's not a personal residence.
Right.
So I will see if the numbers work or if it makes sense for them. Pretty easy to roll forward on that.
But again, they'd have that urgency.
Yes.
And so I think something that you can count on if you put your home on the market in November or December is that you're going to have less showings. And while that might seem frustrating, the people that do come through your home are going to be more serious, rather than in the spring when you've got just people that are wanting to see all the homes that are on the market.
Or imagine how wonderful life would be in Bozeman,
right?
Because it is fun to visit,
right?
So yeah, I think there's never, I would say, a specifically right season to put your home on the market. What I always ask my sellers is, well, what do you have going on? Because again, we're often dealing with your life, right? Life doesn't stop when you're selling a house most often. And so I always like to come up with a plan for people based off of kind of what the next couple months or to year looks like for themselves, and come up with some sort of plan that works for everybody.
If you know you're going somewhere, or you want to be somewhere by a certain time, as soon as you know that, call an agent, me or Kaila probably, and just start making a plan, because while winter might be the optimal time for you to list because of what you have going on in your life, that means we need to plan ahead, and we're going to get your photography done in the time of year that your house looks the best, which might not be winter, probably isn't winter.
Yeah.
I will ask you this, Kaila, because we're kind of on this. If you have a winter listing, do you like them to have Christmas decorations in the pictures?
No, I would say no.
What about exterior Christmas lights?
Yeah, no. I
holiday lights.
I think.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think. I think you want to make your home feel, again, plain. Nicely plain is what I always say. So better to err on the side of, again, less decorations. I know some people love it. Maybe a wreath is okay, or some lights, but I really, I would say no. Ideally, no. I want no decorations, interior, exterior, plain Jane.
If you are the kind of people that put up 12 holiday trees in your house because you just like to have a lot of trees.
Hi, Aunt Jean.
Let's get the pictures done before that happens. I think that goes along, and I think in every video we have referenced our prepping your home for sale. That this is depersonalizing. If you have all of your holiday decorations up, people cannot see past that, and they just want to see the house. So I think not a bad time to list in winter. Plan ahead and get your photography done early. And then if you're going to do interior shots in the winter, if you were going to only do exterior to begin with, and just do it before you put up your holiday decoration.
Yeah. And again, always just be chatting with your realtor, right? Because we can be the ones that, that's what our job is to help give you this advice along the way, right? And answer some of those questions if they come up.
I would also say that goes for like Halloween.
Same. Honestly, anytime. To me, again, plain Jane, I know it's kind of boring.
Less is more.
It really is, though. And I mean, think about any Airbnb home you've stayed in that you've liked. It's probably been pretty vanilla, pretty whatever. There's, again, maybe some green accents, a Highland cow photo that always seems to be in every single.
That everybody gets from TJ Maxx or Home Goods or whatever.
I mean, we joke about it, but you really just want that very clean, basic, nice slate for people to imagine their own personal things in there, and they really do. So just, again, personal touches, keeping those to a minimum, I think is really important. And then again, just keeping in mind that oh, I lost my train of thought.
Prep work, because we can't say prep work enough.
Yeah.
So let's say you have a
yeah, thank you, Kathy. So prepping. So it takes a while to get your home ready for market. Yeah.
So if you think, oh yeah, we're going to put our home on the market, and you call us in May and you want it on the market on the MLS by May 15th, are you ready? Did you already pack 70% of your personal effects, or maybe you need a month or two?
Yeah, and so that again, I've mentioned this before, and I can't remember one of these videos, but we've had a client call, and I visited their home, and she was ready to maybe get it on the market, and I said, you guys really need to clear out a lot of stuff and get the house ready for market is rule number one. We can give you some pricing, but understand that we do like to price the home right when you're going on the market.
Right.
So
things can change.
They can change fast. So I can maybe give you a bit of a window. But my point is taking the time to prep the home. That's what often takes the most time. Realtors, we can get photo scheduled in about a couple days to a week. Listing paperwork can happen like that. So for us, it can happen very quickly, but we find often the most work, unfortunately, is on you, the sellers, getting ready to leave. So plan for that, and don't underestimate how much time it might take for you to do that. If you think it's going to take you 2 months, maybe give yourself 3,
right?
Because there's a lot to go through, and when you start to pull back all of the layers of things, it can just take a lot longer than you might think.
And it's never too, it's never really too early to get the exterior photos done. If you really don't want your home on the market, or you think it's going to take you 4 months to get ready, don't hesitate to call us. We can just get the exterior photos done, have the drone shots done. You guys call us on the day that the lawn just got mowed, and it'll happen, and they'll be gorgeous, and those will stand, all winter long, right? Your house will be gorgeous on the internet.
On the internet. And that's really where it matters so much, is those photos. We can't reiterate that enough. So I do think while we can kind of give you the lowdown for what the different types of markets look like in Bozeman, it really still is a personal decision, and one you want to be making with a trusted realtor by your side,
right?
Or me and Kathy.
Yeah,
so
us.
Yeah,
probably. But yeah, I think definitely there is no right or perfect season to list your home. It has to do with what works best for you and your family, and anything can work. But I think that what we would warn sellers is to expect different levels of activity based on when you are listing. And in the winter, it might only take one buyer, right? Mm-hmm. But in the spring or summer, you can count on there being multiple showings.
I've had a house shown over 50 times.
Right. And if you're living in the house, that could be a lot of work. Maybe instead you want to list in the fall or winter, when it's going to be a more serious set of buyers that are looking at that time of year.
Yeah. So just keep some of those things in mind, and remember, it's just never too early to start vetting realtors and building a relationship, because that's, to me, one of the biggest things about this job is finding somebody that you really can trust and know is giving you good advice.
Yeah, and that's going to tell you if it looks like it might take you 4 months to get your house ready for sale.
Honesty and transparency. That's I think we both work on that way. Where we won't sugarcoat it for you. We'll come in, we'll give you our true and honest opinion and advice. In a kind way, but I don't ever like to sugarcoat it for people. I will tell you if you need to get rid of some things. So
yeah.
No, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have anything else?
No, I think that we did it. And again, yeah, you said it all. Call us when you think you want to sell your home, and then we can work together to craft the best time to put your home on the market, and how that looks, and when we get photography done, and when we want to get it ready, and we'll be there for you. So Thank you. And thanks for watching. Please do subscribe and like our channel so that you can keep up to date on like when we put out that 1031 video, whenever we decide to schedule that. So you can learn a little bit more about that way to own and leverage real estate. So thanks again.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.